Hello and welcome to UnCapt Gaming, your one-stop shop for unprofessional opinions about video games. So on this week's episode, Sonic is not going so fast on digital stores now, where all the retro games are being taken down before the release of the Sonic Origins in June. And then we've got the first ever BBC music video game concert coming our way this year. And we've got some video game movie adaptations. That's the word I'm looking for. Movie adaptation news as well. And then we've got Netflix bringing up to 50 games by the end of this year to their subscription service. So as always, I'm Lloyd, and I'm joined by the wonderful, the only man to survive every zombie apocalypse in the world, everything that's chucked his way, the man, the myth, the legend, Phil Ip. And then down below, we've got, of course, God creates dinosaurs, God destroys dinosaurs, God creates this bloke Dale with the bulging biceps.
Yo!
How are we all doing?
How
are we all doing? We're in a very dinosaur kind of mood today.
So we are.
With prehistoric kingdom.
Just a little bit. Released like 40 minutes ago. We got like 10 minutes of gameplay, and you know, I'm just itching. I'm sat here just like, I want more.
But how are we all? How are we doing today? Mm-hmm. Yeah, good. Yeah. But before we get started, of course, you can find us lurking on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at UnCapt Gaming. See even more content on our YouTube channel and join our community on Discord, all of which are linked in the description of this episode. So, before we get into the heavy stuff, what have we been playing this week? We'll start with Philip.
What have I been playing? It took me a moment to remember that. So I started a game called Days Gone, which was, I think it was about like 3 years ago, came out. PlayStation exclusive, which kind of passed me by, and I've played about an hour and a half. It's supposed to be really good. It's got a lot of fun, but to be honest, I'm not yet won over by it. It's kind of started a bit. It's like The Last of Us with open world, the Ubisofty elements. So I don't know how I feel about it yet. So we shall see. I'm told I need to give it time, but yeah, there's just it's started off on a very weird footing. So I would want to be more positive about it, but like I say, that's literally all I've played so far. It was just kind of like, okay, I'm not really sure what's happening. But I'm going to give it more of a chance. So any Days Gone fans listening, don't shoot me just yet. Other than that, I've been playing through Last of Us 1 alongside these guys for the other bonus podcast that we've been doing. And also playing Last of Us 2, where I've been doing like weird challenges, like trying to kill every enemy in the game on the hardest difficulty, just for fun, because I like murder and mayhem.
Nice. Very positive way to start the podcast. Murder and mayhem, everyone.
Surprising that you've started yet another zombie apocalypse game.
Well, I have to stay on brand, you know.
Have you, out of interest, have you played like Left 4 Dead?
No, that's one of the ones I haven't. Left 4 Dead or the Back 4 Blood.
Left 4 Dead's probably 1 and 2. I'm not sure which one's better because it's like the king of zombie apocalypse shooters. Bon appetit, you know.
There was also that one that came out this year, the sequel. Well, Dying Light. That's another one I haven't played.
Oh yeah, I played the first Dying Light. That was actually really fun. You can drop kick zombies.
Oh, okay.
And
is
parkour,
it but is the drop kick like Luigi in Super Smash Bros, the latest one?
It's not a drop kick, Lloyd. That's like a butt.
What do you mean?
I don't know.
He literally goes straight up and then...
He actually does, don't he? Just to give context, when I first got my Switch, I went over to Lloyd's because you had the Switch at the time, didn't you? And I got Smash Bros. And I was like, I'm going to come over, I got my controllers, we're going to play Smash Bros together. Lloyd picked Luigi. He found this move, which if you could find a clip, whoever's doing this, and show it, he laughed for a solid 30 minutes and we couldn't actually play the game because he was just laughing so much at this.
I kept running around. I wasn't doing any other move. I was just doing it, and I think it was like a combination as well. It was a combination move, so I kept like messing up the stuff. But yeah.
it was funny. But sorry.
I should say though, it's probably, unless you are adept at drop kicks, it's probably not a good idea to try and drop kick a zombie, because otherwise the end result is you fall on your ass and then they fall on you, and then you are chow.
Like I said, he's got all the plans for the zombie.
He does have all the plans. I mean, I watched a lot of wrestling, so I should be okay. Do you know what I mean? It's fine.
Eddie Guerrero.
It's good. Sorry. Wait. What was the question?
what have you been playing?
Me. What have I been playing? Played a little bit of The Last of Us. I played quite a bit. I think it's going to take a little while for me to warm up to it. I will play through it. I will stick through it. But I haven't had an urge to go back to play it yet. But I will. I promise. Mostly, I've been playing The Binding of Isaac mostly this week.
Yeah, return to that.
I'd honestly say it's probably in my top 5. It's obviously Lauren, my wife's favorite game. She absolutely adores it. But I've got back to playing now, and I just love it. It's just, there's something so good about that game. That game is just so amazing. I bought the card game, the board game version of it for Lauren for her birthday, and we were playing that. And I think that just sparked everything up again for the absolute torture that is The Binding of Isaac. But I think that's and quite a bit of Warzone. But that's mostly playing with like work lads and kind of chilling out playing that. So. Yeah, and next week I can already guess what me and Lloyd's is going to be when you ask this question. It's just going to be Prehistoric Kingdom. That's all we're going to be playing.
all over, yeah.
I was going to ask you the question. I was going to transition.
Your turn.
I was just going to. What have you games, Lloyd? What games you?
So I haven't actually. Oh, actually, yeah, I have. I played the demo for Beneath Aressa, which is a card building roguelite. I think I showed you someday.
Oh yeah, I was watching it.
It's like it's very different. Like it's a lot more fluid than other card deck builders. So like you can literally just throw cards. It feels like you can just throw cards out, and you can like string together like combos and stuff. And you use them. Like I'm not a pro at deck builders, so I don't know every mechanic. But like you can use the mouse wheel to spin between the different enemies and stuff as well. So it's like it's a lot more like fluid, and then you've got like far away damage and stuff, and yeah, it's just it was so much fun. I can't wait to play it again.
That really helps though with card games, when they're playing it on PC and stuff, is if they're fluid or not.
Definitely. Because I played like Slay the Spire, and it kind of took me a while to get into it, but this just like it gripped me and
straight in.
Yeah, and I don't know whether it is because like I said, I can't enjoy Slay the Spire now, but
But that's one of the reasons we can't play the Pokemon TCG, it's because it's just so clunky and just so
you
can't play it even though you love it.
It just takes forever. So
card-based games seem to be more and more prominent than like say I've heard a lot more about them in the recent, because obviously there was Inscription, which was a huge hit last year. I think a lot of people's pick for Game of the Year and everything. Slay the Spire, which just came out on it's now free on PlayStation Plus, which we obviously, because we went off and did WASD, we didn't do an episode of On the Plus Side this month, so we didn't really review it, which is probably good because I've never really played card-based video games and been good at them, so my first impression probably wouldn't have been the most illuminating.
I'm rubbish.
I enjoy card-based. I played a lot of Hearthstone, didn't I? Like a lot.
Yeah. I remember.
Put a lot of money in that game, which I will never get back, which is scary. But yeah, no, I think literally smoothness is like one of the key, because we played Runeterra, didn't we, for a little bit, and that felt a little janky, not too smooth. It wasn't incredibly smooth. It was good. Yeah, but it just wasn't.
This is definitely the most, because it's obviously a roguelite as well. Like it's kind of the most fast-paced I've ever played. It feels like so far, but I'm definitely excited to see more. They haven't released a release date on it yet, but hopefully sometime this year, as most games are now. Just some point. You'll get it when you get it.
It'll be there at one point.
We're now past the point where anything in 2022 has a specific date to come out, or anything that we're excited for anyway, except for Sonic Origins, which I have already pre-ordered.
The Monster Hunter DLC. That's probably
That's
the only
June,
two
isn't it?
things. I'll
Yeah.
probably play. When is Origins out?
It's June the something. I
June
think.
is a horrible month. Oh, it's a really good month, but like you got like
It's a
the
lot, yeah.
Jurassic World. I know something for Lauren's coming out that she's really excited for. You got Sonic. You got the Monster Hunter DLC, which let's be fair, I'm not playing Sonic if that's coming out at that time. I'm sorry. As much as I really do actually like Sonic, not as much
Well,
as Phil.
I was going to say it doesn't harken back to your childhood in the same way.
No, I can imagine. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think this is like the perfect time now we've mentioned Sonic to mention the first bit of news. So Sonic Origins is coming out in June, but they've removed, Sega have decided to delist all the retro Sonic games offline. But apparently the Origins game is going to be $32.99, which is actually more than it would have been to buy all the retro games separately, which is something quite similar to what Nintendo did with the Super Mario thing.
Oh yeah.
So, but I don't know. I don't think this is going to be limited edition like the Super Mario thing was.
There's not. Well, I don't know what there's going to be, but there's definitely not going to be a physical edition so far because it's all digital. They've said so. There's no like collector's boxes or anything like that.
So what is Origins then?
So the games that you get in it are the original Sonic the Hedgehog, Sonic CD, Sonic 2, and Sonic 3 and Knuckles, which is the combined.
Yeah.
So I don't think you can play Sonic 3 and Sonic and Knuckles separately in the collection. I'm not 100% sure on that though. But they're now kind of from what I've seen, there's two modes. So there's like classic mode, which is like you play it on the square ratio. So there's like borders around the screen and whatever, and then there's like the enhanced anniversary edition, which is like the full 3:9 ratio ones. And they're like connected by like they've got animation cutscene things like which connect it all into one big story mode. I think. I'm sure they'll have other modes as well. If it's anything like Sonic Mania, obviously they had loads of extra kind of different ways you could do all sorts of stuff. But again, we'll wait to see. I just pre-ordered it in excitement because it was just like, yes, I will absolutely be devouring that and playing through. Because I mean, I've not got the digital editions, so I've not got any delisted. They haven't come around to my house to take away my physical Mega Drive copies yet. No Sega SWAT teams at the doors, so that's all right.
Seems a bit scummy to be delisting them but then I guess it kind of makes sense because then what's the point in buying that if you can just buy it all cheaper if you're not really bothered on playing it? Like
that seems to happen more and more these days, doesn't it? Because like every time there's a collection of something, because I know when they brought out the Uncharted collection for Uncharted 4 and the other Uncharted that's not numbered, which I can't remember the name of off the top of my head, they delisted the two separate ones. And I'm sure there's been other collections that have been brought out recently where the individual games have disappeared.
Yeah, it's obviously because like a lot of the games are on digital with Sonic, whereas like the Super Mario's they were all still physical because they were all GameCube and previous sort of thing. So obviously they can, and I understand why they're doing it from a company sort of standpoint, like because obviously they make money from it. But do you think that's like we've talked about this briefly before in previous podcasts? But do you think that's like the best way to do it? Is these sort of like collector's edition, almost not collector's editions?
I mean, unless there's some kind of like specific cost to them to keep them up, I don't see the benefit. Because I mean, yeah, more people will probably buy the collection, but presumably there'll still be an audience for people who have no interest in like they've really got interest in one of the games or something, and they just want to buy that or whatever it might be.
Just limits choice, don't it? It just limits like because let's be fair, we all know like Sonic CD is the best out of the bunch, so you're gonna probably buy that one. I wanted to see Phil's reaction there. I had to pick a game that he said, and I was like, "That's not true. I don't actually know."
Yeah, that's actually the only one I don't have from when it originally came out, because I've got it on the PS3. I think somewhere like a digital version of it. But yeah, that because this was a weird time for consoles. So before, like, after the Sega Mega Drive, the next thing was the Sega. I want to say Saturn. But in between that, before that, they like the Mega Drive actually had 2 add-ons to it, like which you plugged into the cartridge holder to make it like a whole different console. So there was the Sega 32X, which you plugged in, which was basically a thing to make it you could play 32-bit cartridges instead of 16-bit cartridges. And then there was the Sega CD, which was where you plugged it in and it was a CD drive, and that was where Sonic CD came in.
I've got a feeling that I've got a copy of Sonic CD somewhere, because I remember seeing it a few times in my childhood. I remember playing it, and I've got a feeling there's a copy at my mum somewhere. Like, I'm so sure that there is.
You'd know it's a very specific, like, compared to the others. Like there's one of the mechanics in it is like time travel in the levels, so you can go into the past or the future, and then the special stages are like 3D and you're chasing a
3D
spaceship.
weird things. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, I remember playing that. They were weird. They were weird. I don't like those 3D levels. Cool.
Yeah, so like on the other side now as well, we've got PlayStation who have just set up a preservation team as well in the efforts of making sure history isn't forgotten. And obviously, they rebranded it.
In efforts to sell more games.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah,
But
it's PlayStation. Let's
but yeah, obviously, like PlayStation now has been rebranded to bring in PS1, PS2, and PSP games as well now. Like out of those 2 ways of doing things, with PlayStation using the subscription model, obviously Nintendo still do it with their online service. You get the additional emulator, but it's not as big as the PlayStation and Xbox versions. And then obviously, like, you've got the Nintendo, the Mario 64, Sunshine, etc., and then you've got the Sega Sonic Origins. Which way do you think is the best way?
I get what you mean. You mean, like, is it better than doing it as a subscription kind of library or a one-off purchase? I think a subscription library, in my opinion. You get more bang for your buck. And the majority of the time, I'm speaking for me, I'm not sure about anyone else, but if you're buying an older game like that, it's just to be like, haha, look at this, I used to play, oh, look, this is so cool, oh, it's gone, I'm not going to look at it again. So I'd rather pay a £10 thing to scroll through a load of games that I used to play, used to enjoy, get a little bit of thing out of them, and then be like, well, this hasn't got a battle pass, so I'm not going to bother with this anymore, let's go somewhere else, you know what I mean? So I think a subscription, in my eyes, is better for how I game and how I consume games.
Yeah, I think you get best of both worlds then as well, because you can kind of, like, obviously the PlayStation now has the modern games as well. So it's like, you can, I don't want to play the retro games, then I'm going to go and play
I think that's definitely, for someone who's interested in it, is more kind of casual and passive, because obviously if you're like hardcore into the retro, you'll have an emulator of some description and all this sort of stuff, or the actual consoles and all, just a garage somewhere full of stuff like that reaches up to the walls. But I mean, in terms of general game preservation, like, there's part of me, like, I know that they wouldn't. I think there is somewhere that does this, but I don't think it's very big. But like having some sort of like digital library centrally somewhere, like not necessarily for profit or for PlayStation or Nintendo or whoever to make money, but just for having these games there. And I suppose particularly once they stop being sold, then they could be like open access or whatever, like building up this archive of interest, like it. The same way you've got like with books and stuff like that. There's got to be something. Because I think if you do it that way and do it like sort of when it stops going on commercial sale, that's probably the best way, because then it's, none of the big companies can say, oh, well, you've cut into our profits or it's piracy, or if it can. Surely some accommodation can be, you're not selling it anymore, you've got no more profit to make, you've decided you don't want to do that, give it to the library thing and let it kind of.
Yeah,
because
that's kind of a good reason. But then again, we know how greedy the the games industry is in this. That
Yeah.
it's
Except
very
that-
slim chance that happening. I think.
Yeah,
I think it's a good way of doing it, but
yeah, because
They-
Phil Spencer last year was saying about bringing legal emulators in to preserve games rather than go down these paying models almost. So
it'd be pretty cool. I guess you just pay for the emulator and you get the games, maybe. You know,
Yeah.
and that wouldn't be so bad if you paid like, I don't know, 20 quid for an Xbox emulator and then you could just download the games from them because they're old. You know what I mean? They're still
Yeah.
making a little bit of money, but then you can play all the games that you want, I suppose. Maybe something like that. I'm not sure.
You can. No, I don't know whether I've never seen an Xbox one, but you can definitely do that with some of the old I think it's probably PlayStation 1 and earlier consoles. There's they sell the mini ones with loads of preloaded games on.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, because they did like the
a PlayStation that's that big.
Mini PlayStations and stuff.
Yeah, the mini PlayStations and stuff like that. I don't know. Maybe, but I think at this point now, I don't know, because wouldn't you just want Xbox in particular? Would their whole mission thing being like everything on the Xbox One and keeping everything in that family of consoles? Wouldn't they just release like an emulator to there? Surely the Xbox can run an emulator of sorts to play all the games.
Yeah, I think
it does it now anyway, don't it? You can still play Xbox 360 games and stuff.
Yeah.
Can you play the original Xbox game, or is that too far back?
Maybe I think
you can
so.
play. Yeah, you can play.
You
can. Yeah. Because that's what this PlayStation preservation team is actually supposed to be doing: is making older games playable on the modern hardware. Modern hardware.
Okay.
So I'm obviously I'm assuming that would be. I don't know whether they mean upgrading graphics and then
perhaps graphics. I think it'd just be.
It might just be emulated, because I did read something somewhere that one of the main difficulties, I think it's PS3 generation in particular, because of something with the architecture and the hardware of that console. I don't understand any of the techie stuff enough to rehash what was in the article, but basically the way they made it meant that the presentation was so much better, but it also meant the amount of work that had to go in on the back end to develop it to make that work for that console made backwards compatibility or compatibility with it in general really hard, because that was one of the reasons why including all of that they needed for the PS3 architecture and the PS2 architecture for the backwards compatibility that they had on the original, the very, very early PS3 models, so expensive was just because of the bulk of the PS3 tech, and then that's why the PS4 wasn't backwards compatible with the PS3, just because the PS3 itself was. Again, I wish I could understand the tech to explain it in any detail that didn't sound like gibberish, but it's just basically, as a thing, it's the technology just sort of sits incompatible with anything else without huge amounts of expensive retrofitting and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it is a lot of easier. It is very much easier said than done. When it comes to upgrading and
whereas I think the Xbox 360, because that was more straightforward in terms of is probably going to be a lot easier to just make something place that way.
I mean, to be fair, they did have Xbox 360 games available to play from quite early on, right?
Day one,
You know,
pretty much. Yeah. Was it day one on the Xbox One?
yeah, I think so. I don't want to say for certain, but I'm pretty sure they were quite early. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Because I remember that generation, the Xbox 360 was the massive shift to digital.
Yeah.
So, because I remember having loads of discs and then stopping, and you had to buy the extra hard drive to go on top and stuff.
I never ever did that. I just ended up uninstalling and reinstalling games.
You could only fit, especially when Call of Duty started coming around and there was 100.
Oh my lord! And Warzone was 200 gig. Yeah. Do you want to play Warzone? It's yeah, go on. I need another 14 gig update from yesterday.
Give me 2 weeks and I'll be ready.
Yeah, give me a day and a half, and I might be able to beat you on the next update. God, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I've just looked it up. Apparently, it was something to do with part of their like object, including something called a synergistic processing element. Like, there are apparently 8 of these.
Oh yeah, I know what that is.
Which the longest is these SPEs are a unique system difficult to take advantage of, with developers later describing the console as a nightmare to work with. In addition to this, the PS3 also included a reality synthesizer RSX chip to get the best of performance outcome for games. Developers had to relearn development techniques, incorporate new systems. So if it was if it was that much of a problem to make games for it when it was the main console of that current generation, then backwards compatibility, because they obviously learned from that with PS4 and 5 and went, right, simpler, more straightforward. So yeah.
I suppose it sets it up for I was gonna say for non-failure, but for success, because if you do want to go back to it, then it's just easier, and it just means you have the option to do that. And there is, I mean, the retro scene is massive, so if you can put it on in one, I know a lot of retro fans and stuff enjoy collecting the old, the consoles and stuff. But if you can just put it in one place, it's so much easier. And then it might get people interested in that, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I was going to say, because like obviously with Sonic at the moment in particular, like you've got the show that's kind of kicking off at the moment. We're seeing loads of TikToks about it.
Yeah, it looks so
which is hilarious. And like you're going to have that, and then obviously the movies. So you're going to have like a resurgence of
I suppose it's actually one of the better things to do, especially if you're like because they're like remastering it, and they're making it all look pretty, and stuff like that. Because like obviously Sonic is aimed. Sorry, Phil, it's aimed towards kids. It is a kids thing. I like it,
but what you mean.
But it is aimed towards kids. That's where they're going to get a majority of their money from, and if they release the older games now to kids, you're not gonna. I'm not gonna want to play it, so they're not gonna want to play it. I'm not gonna want to play the old retro-looking games. I struggle going back to them. So I can imagine what it's like for a kid to be like, "I love this. Let's play Sonic CD," and be like, "What the hell is this?" Do you know what I mean? So the fact that they're not rebranding it, but remastering and stuff like that, re-releasing it like that in one big package. It makes sense when you think about them. Actually, they're doing Sonic good. They always do our boy dirty. They've always done our boy dirty, and now they're doing him good. Do you know what I mean? He deserves this. Mario, who? You know what I mean? God. I'm gonna start a Sega. Nintendo console.
That's retro in and of itself. Going back to the old days of Sonic or Mario, Sega or Nintendo.
And now you got Master Chief.
We can safely say the Mario won that, unfortunately.
Yeah, because Nintendo bought it.
He's got. I mean, to be fair, he has got Chris Pratt playing him now.
Yeah, I think in terms of the war about who gets the better movie adaptations, I think Sonic is definitely in the lead on that one.
Well, we do. In all fairness, though, we don't know what this new film looks like. This Mario, it could actually be incredible. You know
I mean, it could. I'm holding it up to the high standards of the Bob Hoskins film from the
90s. You'll never let that go, will you?
No. I contend that as awful as it was also genius and brilliant. Every time I say that, like I do get filthy looks from across the room from my wife, but that's.
I know he looks across the room.
He looks across the room because I can imagine D's look. Yeah, well, I mean, I suppose the positive out of this is they're doing Sonic good. Our boy deserves this. I really want to watch Sonic Boom now because it actually looks so funny.
Just seeing those like clips, I don't know, like the Sonic Boom out of context video or something.
It looks
like the Knuckles. Wait, Jimmy here puts his glasses on. Wait, I can't read. What was the other one that he does when he goes?
What he gives
He's
the
like,
big rant.
my middle name's something, and he goes, I thought your middle name was there.
Yeah.
Oh, he gives the big feminism speech, don't he? He goes,
Yeah,
well, just because I'm a meathead doesn't mean I can't be a feminist.
I love it.
Looks good. Is that an old show then, or is that new?
I have
It's
no
gotta be
idea.
new.
I don't know where. I
I've
don't even
never-
know what network it's on or anything.
Sonic Boom. That's apparently on Netflix. 2014 they come out.
Oh, if it's on Netflix, that will be getting some thing, I think, in the near future.
Yeah, there's two series.
While I
two
still have a
seasons.
Netflix subscription before I get fed up.
What
Well, you've
was the
asked-
other one that cracked me up? When it was meteorites, there was just meteors are just falling stars. We should make a wish. I wish for a pony, and then Sonic's like, "I wish we had cover," and then he drags them all underneath the ship, and then she's like, "Why did your wish come true?" You know what? Everyone, watch Sonic Boom. Next week, we're just going to do a catch up on how good Sonic Boom was.
Boom is, yeah. Yeah, talking of Netflix, actually, this is just running so smoothly. So they're looking to bring they're on 18 at the moment, 18 games on offer as part of their subscription. They're looking to bring it to 50. Obviously, mostly mobile games, I believe. Yeah, so they're looking to add another 30 more titles by the end of the year. This is something I completely forgot about.
Yeah, I was going to say, I
I've
kind of forgot about that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I remember last year.
It got
and
thrown out by the fact that Netflix has lost 200,000 subscribers, and that they're running at this multi-billion-dollar loss and all this stuff. I think that kind of overshadowed the games.
kind of
Yeah.
overshadowed it.
Just a little bit.
I always thought they were just going to go down that was it Bandersnatch, that kind of route, just making those like Wales Interactive. They've got an actual name for those type of games. Like I can't think
Interactive
of it.
stories.
Yeah,
Interactive films.
Yeah, it might be that. I thought that's where they were going, but they're just making
mobile games.
Rubbish mobile game library. Like,
Yeah,
come on, they've got some incredibly talented movie studios, I suppose. They're like, surely something can be done to make things into like an interactive movie and stuff, and maybe like corner the market on that. Maybe get Wales Interactive and work around and build a library of those style games. Because Bandersnatch was quite successful.
The problem they've got, I think, is that I say the problem they've got. The problem that with the way they're thinking or whatever is that they now that they've no longer got a monopoly on streaming services, they just seem to have completely lost any kind of sense. It seems to me because they've lost loads of stuff that people liked previously. Obviously, all the Marvel stuff's gone to the Disney Plus, all this sort of stuff. There's very little on there that's new, that's good, and then what is new and good and people enjoy, they cancel after 2 seasons because it's something to do with once a thing gains popularity after season 2, it becomes exponentially more expensive because they have to. And so therefore, rather than cash in on that, they just go cancel, and then they're wondering why people are going, oh well, there's actually less and less stuff here to watch. So
yeah, they did it quite recently with Will Smith's film. I think it's Bright. They were on about making a sequel to that, and then they've just cancelled it. Obviously, I don't know whether that's to do with all the stuff going on with him, but
it might be because Bright was a bad movie.
I don't think it was.
Apparently, there's a following for it that people really wanted it. I think it might be a different film, but it was
the one where basically they replace
it's aliens.
Orcs are the black people, that.
It was it was like RPG but RPG racism between things, but they are fantasy, not RPG, and they just made it into a film. And it felt so strange.
Yeah, it was basically because, it was on the first watch when you don't think about it too much. It's actually relatively enjoyable, as a sort of brain off popcorn thing. But then when you think about it too much, and you think they basically got some sort of Lord of the Rings style backstory to this, and the Dark Lord and orcs and everything are real, and yet somehow they've done so little world building that none of that affects the present, and the world looks exactly as it is. Except that there's racial harmony amongst the humans, and now it's the orcs who are black people instead.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
strange. I tell you what, there's a really this is kind of on topic, but kind of off topic to that. I've been listening to more audiobooks recently because it's just easier to consume, and I've been listening to the World of Warcraft ones because they've really the world that they built is actually really interesting, and they did this book which was like, I can't remember what it's called, what I was reading, but it was a trial of one of the main villains in the game, or one of the, like, I suppose if you're on the Horde side, your leader, and he commits some horrible crimes, like complete just genocide. And it's like, I don't know, like when they're doing it, they're trying to like not. You got some of them painting all the orcs because he's an orc under the same brush. Because like if you watch the Warcraft film, you know that they all took demon bloods and they were tainted by that. And then you got like the Horde that are arguing that like it's, I don't know, it's a really good little dynamic, and it's a really good way of doing it because he's done awful things and they're known for doing awful things. But then there are orcs in the trial because it's a whole trial process, and it shows like there are orcs that chose not to follow him. There are orcs that chose that they would have done things different. It was really interesting. I honestly think that's worth a listen. Sorry, Bright brought me onto it. It was a good way of doing it. It was a good way of doing it. Bright was a bad way of doing it.
Yeah,
that's my point.
Yeah.
Although I think getting back to the topic there, the fact that we none of us know enough about any of the Netflix games to talk about them. We talk about Netflix in general. Kind of probably shows how much impact the games have had so far.
Yeah,
literally, like I found it on the news like yesterday, and
yeah, and I'd imagine we'd all got a Netflix subscription, so we've all got access to it. We've just never think. But I don't see the thing of playing a game with my TV remote. It just doesn't. Like, can you remember those old Sky games? This is a very British thing, but like when you had Sky, there was games on Sky, and there was like all weird puzzle games, and there was a game that was like bees or something. I can remember that, but like they were just rubbish. I don't know.
These are like literal mobile games, like the Stranger Things game.
Oh, so you log into your like Netflix app on your mobile or something?
On your mobile, you can play games.
Oh, okay, sorry, I was misreading.
Stories.
I see. Sorry, I was misreading the actual.
I don't really play mobile games. Well, I don't play. I'll say don't really, as if like I dabble occasionally. I don't play them, so I don't know enough about them. I did download the free mobile version of Sonic the Hedgehog. Trying to play it with like touchscreen mobile. That was so hard,
so difficult.
Yeah, I think you need like you need a big screen. Like I'm very lucky. I got a Galaxy Note, so I can kind of play with it. But yeah,
I think it depends how they use the touch controls as well.
Yeah,
if they're like I played the majority of Hearthstone. I played this on the phone, and it was just your finger was quite literally the click and the thing, so you just drag things around, and it was so well done. But I think it's dependent, isn't it?
They're definitely getting better though. Like from what I've heard, there's a lot
100%.
of improvement of them. But so that's like one of the things they're doing at the moment. But they're also looking to so they're doing a flip thing now, where games were going into movies, their shows are now going into games. So they're looking to make a lot more games about their Netflix originals as well.
Okay, fair. As long as they're not like
be cancelled after 2 seasons.
Sequel. That's all you get.
It depends how they did it, because they did those Stranger Things games, didn't they? And they were like the 8-bit kind of homage.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? For like the retro games, and that's how they were made. I don't know if they're any good, but because of that, I had no interest in it. But it depends how they do it, because then they've got to get a good game studio in to do that, unless they just do like the golden age of video games where bloody everyone had their licensing and everyone could make their game. And just, they're outsourcing is what I mean. They did just outsource it and thing. But I mean, at this point, it's Netflix. They could probably just buy a competent studio, right?
Well, after hearing the news of them losing, how many was it? 200 million? Did you say?
200,000.
Sorry,
and they are, but they're net. Hold on. Netflix.
Phil, he's doing a Google. He's doing a Google live on stream on podcast. He's doing a Google. Everyone get your Google predictions in the chat below.
The market.
Okay, so they've lost $50 billion with the subscription decline, and they were running at a loss anyway. So that's
Yeah, they best be saving those pennies, lads. It's not. Yeah, that's a. That I think that might just chuck a spanner in it. To be honest, if that's because obviously Disney as well, they're smashing the TV streaming at the moment.
yeah.
Of course they are.
And
They got Marvel and Star Wars. Like they're gonna win.
I mean, even Prime's doing incredible.
Yeah,
A lot of their shows, you know.
And you've got Apple TV coming in with David Attenborough and dinosaurs.
Oh, we gotta be watching that. This is kind of not for podcasts, but this is kind of for us. But like, can we have like a proper date night to watch that? Cuddle up. Phil, you can come over. You can watch David Attenborough talk about dinosaurs, and we'll just cuddle, watch him talk about it. And here we have the young Tyrannosaurus Rex, and you're like, oh my god, say it again. Sorry.
I mean, yeah, obviously, absolutely. Although the cynic in me was also, as soon as you said Apple TV, I was like, that's going to be like a subscription service, but it's also going to be one of them where it only works properly if you buy an Apple TV, and then you've got Apple cables and Apple plug sockets, and
you sacrifice 2 Samsung phones to the Apple gods every week.
Yeah. And the best thing was, my mum the other day, she was like, "Oh, Apple have got a new charger," and I was like, "Yeah," cause I got it. And then she was like, "On about the Samsung one changing all the time," and I was like, "It's changed once." And Apple do it, and you can only use it on Apple products.
Tell you what, that's the thing. I swapped over to Apple recently, and I gotta say, I actually really love this phone. So I can't actually talk negative on it, but yeah, no, I got it. The frustrations are annoying.
Yeah, so you can't talk negative on it because now you've got a phone. You've also got like their kind of equivalent of the Church of Scientology, like coming around and be like, you have to praise Apple, or, sacrifice your goats to the spirits of Steve Jobs, and
yeah, no, I mean, yeah.
But,
sorry, that was a big tangent. We just wanted to
bringing it back
about Netflix.
Bringing it back in. So this is one for Dale. Dale might like this, but they are bringing Exploding Kittens to the streaming service next month.
Wait, what?
And an animated TV series due next year.
Well, the card game, the card game we used to play, that was so good.
Have you ever played that though?
I have.
We should get that. What is it coming as a game? Netflix game or
Netflix.
We should get that and actually stream a game of that or record a game of that. That would be incredible. That would be so funny. Maybe that's the way they go is getting these card games and board games, and because like, to be fair, everyone, well, I mean, it's quite a term, but most people have a telly and most people have Netflix streaming, so maybe that's the route they go down. That's actually a really interesting route if they choose to do that as well.
Yeah,
because I'd go for that if they were bringing out,
Yeah, I think like those like games with a bit of popularity, like I don't know, like Cards Against Humanity and all that stuff. And they're like board games. They would work well on mobiles because like Hearthstone works really well.
Yeah, right.
Well, most card games work well on the old mobile.
That's interesting, actually. I kind of like. I think that'd be a cool. Whether or not that actually bring more money in, though, because a lot of people like it. But like you said, it's not niche, but I don't think it's. Maybe it is. I might be talking a little there. Yeah, no. Ignore the last 10 seconds of what I just said.
I don't understand what you just said.
I was going to say, like, is it going to pull in that much? Because I was going to say that it might be more of a niche audience, but then I was like, it's not really.
No,
I proved myself wrong.
Yeah, it's probably not as universal as the number of people who like will watch things on telly. Like the number of people who play like a board game, and then the number of people who play a digital version of a board game or a card game. That probably numbered. It's not small, but it's not enormous either, I imagine.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to get across. I know it's not as small because obviously,
But then does it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No, you're right. Yeah.
That happened. But what I was trying to say was, like, obviously with like board games like Exploding Kittens, you've got to have the physical thing. So it's like you're not going to have it over everyone's house. You know what I mean? So it's a bit, it's that extra. And we've
I get
seen,
you.
and then if it's on your mobile and it's free, it's part of your Netflix subscription.
Everyone can just download it.
Yeah, it's easy enough to download. It's easy enough to play. Then you could even play it in the same house. Say if I went over yours or Phil's or whatever. Do you know what I mean? You could just
Yeah.
crack out a game of Exploding Kittens.
I suppose with the amount of people over lockdown now as well who are like, I mean, I know my family were always like, oh, quick, Thursday night, we're all going to do a quiz, which I was like, nah, I'm all right.
I'm good, thank you.
But like the amount of people that like now probably use online stuff to connect with friends and family more, they might gravitate towards that. There might be a bigger audience in like the older generation for stuff like that now.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
well, they've said over 50 spending in gaming's massively gone up.
Yeah, it's gone up like tremendously.
I doubt like, I don't know, my nan's going to be playing Exploding Kittens, but
I don't know. Like I can see,
more likely than Call of Duty. To be fair,
yeah.
Cheeky Game Wars.
I can see my nan calling me up and being like 1v1 Hearthstone on the Netflix. You know what I mean? Oh damn! But no, yeah, it's a good point. I think they've got two interesting ways they can go. And I think if they capitalize on them, it'd be pretty like cool, and it might make it like, who knows? We might be speaking about Netflix as an actual good player in the games industry at one point. I don't want to choke on my words too much there. Like,
this is assuming they don't go down the other route, which is right to try and drive up subscriptions. We'll stop password sharing, which was the main thing that they seem to talk about. Yeah. That's the reason that it's going downhill is because people are sharing passwords. Not any of the ancillary things and losing all the good show stuff. Just the password sharing. That's the problem.
Yeah, but then we got to kind of pay attention to this because, like, this might be how the gaming industry goes. You never know. Like,
yeah, because like obviously with shared subscriptions, like we've seen massive profits like drop, and there's why Spotify introduced the family plan, where you can like pick up to 6 people, was just because so many people were sharing accounts. Like it was just pointless, so you might as well make that extra £5 on top. Do you know what I mean? For this however many people. But yeah, so I like, obviously we all want to save that £10 a month, but at the same time, like, people do have to make money as well. So I don't know. It's a bit of a catch-22.
Yeah. I think that's the thing is if they do enough to appeal to enough people, then that shouldn't be, especially if that's part of the appeal, is like, we've got all this stuff and you can share it with like your family and stuff like that, so that you might as well pay for it. And I mean, to be fair, like, I think there are different subscription rates already for depending on how many
you can have a family one
devices you can have Netflix on and stuff. So
yeah, because it's more about watching at the same time, isn't it? That's how they cottoned on to a lot of it.
Yeah, I'd imagine it's like, if, say, for example, I've got Netflix and I don't know, Lloyd, you're sharing with me, I'd probably be the one using it the most because it's mine thing. So they probably get like my home IP. See it logging in from other direct. I don't know if that's how it works. I don't know how to hack, and I don't know what IPs are. But I'm assuming that's what it is, something like that. You know what I mean?
How you hack is that techno music comes on and like loads of like. Whilst you wear sunglasses in the back with hat and starts going, I'm in the mainframe, dude.
I'm going to send a DDoS to their social media page, quick.
Well, they're trying to counter it in real time. Because the real time this is a real thing that happens. Oh no, they've quit me. There's velociraptors on the horizon.
All right, listen. Don't use dinosaur names and jokes, okay? Can we mute Phil for the next 5 minutes to using the
all right, okay, stop arguing, we're gonna move on. We're gonna move on. So the next bit of talking point is Pedro Pascal hasn't played the games because he doesn't want to imitate Joel in the new Last of Us TV show. Come on, guys, get your rage out. What are we? How are you feeling about this?
So what he actually said, because I think this came up twice. One was in a like, he had this weird interview with Vanity Fair where he was like strapped to a lie detector, and there was only the one quote, like he's like said, you playing Joel in the Last of Us game, and then he said, well, can you tell us how to get out of the hotel basement level? Which I won't spoil because obviously you'll get to experience that yourself. But he just sort of looked and went, I'm not very good at this. I can't play them. I can't do the things. And then I think it was GQ. Like he basically said, he tried to play a bit of it, realized he had no gaming skill whatsoever, and then passed it to his nephew and watched him play for a bit, and then kind of went off and did whatever Hollywoody things he does. I don't know what Hollywood people do. Go around and like walk Hollywoodedly, like the Hollywood.
Yeah, so I think they actually do. They
shop
just
and
walk. Yeah, they walk around
buy
looking
some
like
Hollywood
Hollywood,
food
right?
and. But yeah, so and then he said he didn't want to watch too much because he kind of didn't want to just be imitating the performance. So I think he's talking mainly about basically his performance being him playing Joel rather than being him doing an impression of Troy Baker playing Joel type thing. Which I think is fair enough. I think because you want it's being like the guys writing it who were involved in writing the game and the direction there obviously is for all that as an actor. So that all seems fine to me. And like obviously, I've never been to acting school, but I'm pretty sure there's never been like a acting class where it says you cannot play a video game character unless you can play video games. But obviously, people on the internet are mad.
I can imagine.
Isn't it essentially one of an actor's jobs to just look through the source material and
make their own twist on it?
Because surely if it was a carbon copy of Joel, it'd be boring. You might as well just play the game. So you kind of want to see some personality and some kind of not huge variations, like Master Chief not wearing his helmet. I was going to do the first swear of the entire podcast then. Master Chief not doing wearing his helmet, but like you'd want him to put his personality into it to make it more lifelike.
You
know what I mean?
The other thing as well is sorry, you go first.
I was just going to say we see it a lot in the MCU where a lot of people are like, but that's not in the source books, that's not in the book, that's not how it happens in the comic. And it's like, well, if you actually read the Infinity War comic, it doesn't happen anything like what is arguably one of the best bits of cinema. So like why are you complaining? Like you can't
Lloyd,
put books
people like to complain, okay?
I know.
Let them complain, and then we can complain about them complaining.
It's all content, baby. But like, I think the thing that people kind of get a lot because like Last of Us or any video game with a story for that matter is not like the story isn't. If you watch all the cutscenes, you've kind of seen the story, but you've not really because there's so much more of it you experience through like the parts where you're actually playing the game and the characters are interacting with each other, you're doing all this sorts of stuff. And you can't do that in like a TV show. You can't have gamey bits of a TV show where like
what do they expect him to do in like a fight scene? Just be running around going.
He stops and teabags one of the enemies.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. It's like because the story obviously it's a set story, but there's also like a lot of it which is kind of by like there's more interactions that you see through playing the gameplay through the combat and big open scenarios. And obviously, if the combat of a game, if the combat of a TV show played out the same way as combat of a game, it make a very bad TV show because the pacing's different. You've got because with the game, the pacing is like you've got I don't know 10 hours of game, 10, 20 hours of gameplay, and you've got to kind of structure it and like account for how the play is likely to go, and that's your pacing. With a TV show, and it's like you've got that overarching thing, but then you've got each episode's got to have its own arc from beginning to end with some progression in it. You got all these things which are completely different because it's a completely different medium. So, and then there's all the stuff with the performance as well, because there's not going to be like none of the characters. The way you act, even if you're playing the same character, you've got the same accent and it's the same basic temperament, this person is a rough loner who has been broken by the apocalypse or whatever. Box standard. There's still lots of different because again because all the stuff changes because the structure changes. So the performance, but so this I was looking through the like thumbnails of all the videos of people who are outraged about this on YouTube and like all these things about like how like disrespectful to the games it is and how arrogant Hollywood do think they know better and all this. There's a few that were like, because they don't like Pedro Pascal, certain people anyway, do they? Because
he's a
because he's a liberal and Gina Carano got fired from The Mandalorian. He didn't get fired, and even though he called Nazis.
Wait, what? How dare he?
All this sort of stuff. So that like this was a whole load of just some of these. I subjected myself to a couple of them. It was brain melting. Honestly, it was just like because it fed into all this usual kind of like, well, everything's just woke. It just he didn't play a video game. It's woke. It's Hollywood. It's just like, wait, shut up.
Yeah, but like these are the same people that really want a TV series to happen. But like, does it make that, like, say if he watched all the cutscenes anyway, and like obviously, like you said, you've got the intimate moments in between, but he's not exactly going to go off and go, oh, I'm going to go down this, I'm going to turn left rather than right, even though right is the main way because left has a collectible. And I need it to unlock more of the story, is it? Do you know what I mean? Like, does it like?
Yeah.
Does it make
the other thing that gets me is, again, like going back to my point of he will do the research. He's not going to go in and play the Mandalorian as Joel, is he? Like, I mean, they're one in the same. I'm joking. Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
they're both like a loner who's like done bad things, who rescues a child and then grows to love them.
It's the Mandalorian.
The Mandalorian is
that
The
off
Last of Us.
YouTube.
Oh, damn!
Definitely got that off. Did I just hear singing?
Yeah, that was Dee in the background doing this sort of do.
I was like, oh my goodness! So, what's going on here?
He's gonna do the research, so he's gonna know the character.
Yeah, they're not
like. Do you know what I mean? Not everyone can be what's his name from Geralt. What's his name? His name's lost. He's a beautiful person.
Henry Cavill.
Henry Cavill, where he adores the games. Like, not everyone's that. Surprisingly, gamers. Listen, not everyone are gamers. Not everyone's a gamer. Yeah. Not everyone plays games.
But Henry Cavill. Sorry,
Henry.
I was going to say Henry Cavill.
Henry, he never originally read the books, did he? Because like The Witch is obviously based on
the books.
The books,
yeah.
Just like the game is based on the books. So technically, he didn't do the source material.
How dare you not read the books? Shut up.
It's like, yeah, but like Henry Cavill doesn't play Geralt exactly like he is in the game. No. Well, I haven't read the book, so I can't comment on that. But like,
it's his interpretation.
Sorry, yeah, and it's like
you've not read the books.
I have not read the book. I know, I'm shocking. Awful human being. But
over.
If we just went off that basis of people just need to go off source material, we would never have characters like Jack Sparrow. Like Johnny Depp practically made that character.
Yeah.
Like I off the top of my head, Joker, Joaquin Phoenix's Joker.
Yeah,
maybe even like
Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man.
Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man as well. Yeah,
I'm sure Robert Downey Jr. never read every Iron Man comic beforehand or watched the Saturday morning TV show.
But this is the best thing. Iron Man was like a C-list character before.
Yeah,
and he never had the goatee. Like Robert Downey Jr. made Iron Man what he is today in the comics. So like it kind of goes to say what it is really.
Even looking at like each interpretation of the Batmans.
Yeah, they're all different. Yeah. And every comic Batman is different. Like Frank Miller's Batman is very different from like, I don't know, Scott Snyder's.
This is how you separate the media. You're not going to have carbon copies of things because then that just gets boring.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? It really gets boring unless they do something sacrilegious, as take Master Chief's helmet off constantly when we've had like not 8 games, but like multiple games where that's the whole thing is we don't know what his face looks like.
Yeah, but that's not a new. I mean, you kind of like with the Mandalorian, the fact that he showed his face so little, that kind of should have been an example for like that can be done. And Dread, like with the one with Carl Urban, in again, another example, it can be done. But prior to that, like there was, I always remember like the outrage. I don't know whether it was as much because obviously the internet wasn't really there then, and obviously the internet's kind of added an
Yeah.
extra level to deranged.
The internet's been around since the Earth was born, Phil. What are
Yeah.
you talking?
But the 1995 or 1996 Judge Dredd movie with Sylvester Stallone, and there was a whole
96.
thing because it basically, like, he stopped playing Judge Dredd at one point and just was playing Sylvester Stallone running around in the desert outside Mega City 1.
That's cool, though. That's cool.
It was an enjoyable movie. It was
Audrey!
yeah, as an adaptation, it was absolutely not faithful, and it was just like cheese fest, especially when you compare it to like Dread, the Carl Urban one, which is just a blind movie. But,
Yeah, I suppose it goes different.
well, I don't know if
doesn't it?
Carl Urban even read 2000 AD, so he could have just been well directed.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's that thing in it. Is you want it to have their own personalization, their own interpretation, but you don't want that to go too far. Like, taking an amazing franchise like, let's say, Monster Hunter, and just dropping the army in the world, the US Army, and being like, "Whoa,
Yeah.
let's see what goes on here." It's like, oh my, just.
Yes, the
Yeah.
old Paul W.S. Anderson pain.
The whole listen. It's Dynasty Warriors, but the US Army are there.
Probably.
How about that?
They probably were.
Yeah,
like,
probably
yeah,
saved them all at last minute.
yeah, I like just see what it's like. It could be great.
Yeah, I don't think it.
It
People just
might
like
be
to get outraged. It's probably nothing. He's gonna do his research. You never know. He could play
I think he'll do. I think he'll do a good performance. I mean, whether the show will be good or not is kind of if because it's HBO who also produced Game of Thrones, which allowed what the hell that show became
Dumb
in
and
season
Dumber
7
to
and
write.
8.
Oh, let's not. Please don't get me angry.
Okay.
Don't get me angry.
But so it could be terrible in its own merits, but I don't think it's going to be terrible on the basis that Pedro Pascal never played the video games. And I think the fact that everyone who's really mad about this are all the exact same people who, like, ironically enough, they're all mad about The Last of Us 2. Still, 2 years later, it's still living rent-free in their heads, and most of them are mad about it, not because they've ever played it, but because they watch the cutscenes on YouTube. Or like, I've seen this, the story's terrible, because I watched the cuts. Like, well done, you. Like, when I don't like stuff, what I do? I just don't like it, and then I move on, and I go and find stuff I do like. Stop.
You gotta have a jab. Come on, you gotta have a jab.
Well, yeah, but you don't dedicate create 17,
your life to it.
17 Twitter sock puppet accounts to like reply to everyone who says that something positive about the thing to go. You're just wrong.
Gotta be draining when your entire creative and life process is just hating things. It's gotta be so draining.
Yeah.
I mean, it's obviously lucrative because they're all doing it as a. I've said this before, and I'll keep saying it. It's a grift. Like, it's basically just a giant grift. But yeah, it's got to be poisoning, clogging up the old arteries there.
But we got some positive news from the movie world of games.
Be happy to focus on the things you like Sonic.
Yeah. Like Sonic the Two Hedgehog is now the highest grossing video game movie of all time in the US.
Well deserved. That's well deserved.
I can't wait to see that. I still haven't, which is like I'm just itching, chomping at the bit. Cause...
Oh, sorry. Number 2 is. I thought you were about number 1.
No, number 2.
Wait,
sorry,
what was before?
I think number 1 was the highest, wasn't it?
Was it actually?
Pokemon Detective, yeah.
Detective Pikachu. That, again, a fantastic film. I love that film. And I think Sonic and Detective Pikachu hopefully is a good indication to how movies are going to go. Because Detective Pikachu was really good.
Yeah, I think that's a perfect example of moving it kind of away from what Pokemon was. Because it's more like a sprawling metropolis.
Yeah.
Rather than like a village sort of thing.
I mean,
we did see that, but...
Yeah, even Sonic did that, though. Took it away from it being, the Sonic games. It's still got the main concept of Sonic versus Dr. Eggman. or Robotnik or whatever you want to call him. You know, it's still got that
Robotnik
Robotnik egg guy, man. It's still got that. It's still got the whole like the ring concept, but the rings are different. They've given them more of a purpose, I suppose. I'm not sure if they did that in the games. Did they open up to different worlds?
The rings were basically if you collected enough of them, you got an extra life. While you had rings, you couldn't die. That was rings are your health, basically.
So they've given them a purpose. You know, I think you're right. I think this thing of like, unfortunately, games don't work in their base thing as movies. They don't. Unless you're taking something like, I don't know, Edith Finch or something like that, something that's made almost like a film. It's kind of just you walk through an experience. So there's nothing wrong with those games, but you know.
I think the big difference between like Sonic 2 and Detective Pikachu and the other like Assassin's Creed and stuff is they just feel good movies as well. Like they're kind of like they fall into that, like, is it Free Guy with Ryan Reynolds?
Free Guy, yeah.
I keep calling it Fall Guy for some reason.
Different thing.
Yeah, that's something else. Yeah, like they kind of just fall into that bracket where they're just like they're enjoyable. Like you can just watch them. You don't really have to kind of pay attention to it. Like, yeah. Whereas like Assassin's Creed, like it was just a bit OTT, and it was like you have to pay attention to every moment of it. And then you had the stupid Animus thing, which makes more sense, but it doesn't.
There was. I've not seen that movie.
Don't.
Like, there's one
the
cool
only thing I
shot
know
in
is
that
that
entire
Michael
film. There's one cool thing from that entire film, and Lloyd, I bet you know what it is. No,
I can't remember it.
It's where she shoots the arrow, and it bounces off the wall and hits the guy in the head.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the only thing I remember from that. But no, I think Sonic and Detective Pikachu are two good things, and maybe that lends a bit more credibility to this Mario film.
Yeah,
because Nintendo kind of understand now how to make a successful gaming film. I'm going to watch Detective Pikachu tonight.
They've done, because it's always a balance, because obviously you don't make it just for gamers, because even though gaming's like the most lucrative entertainment industry that in the world, the number of people who are gamers compared to the number of people who watch movies is like in the millions versus in the billions. So
yeah,
if you're adapting to a movie, you've got two things. One, obviously, you need to make it something that like the existing fan base want to come along and see. Because if you just basically throw up a wall and say we're adapting this thing, you're like, but it's not for you. Fuck off. Then that's obviously going to damage it. But at the same time, you also do have to bring it into new people, so that you've got to kind of walk this line where someone who's never played a game has to be able to walk and watch it and know what's going on and have a reason to be invested in these things. You have to, without having a background, and then someone who's not brand new, who knows all the stuff, needs to like not feel like they're being walked through stuff they already know. I don't know. It's
yeah. I think that's why Free Guy did so well.
Yeah,
because I think the majority of people could understand the concept of what he was. And then there was all those little gimmicks as into like, seeing people jump on the walls and stuff, and other people would just be watching it and be like, oh, these people are just crazy gamers, they're just doing their thing. But we know obviously that's someone trying to like walk to another thing. We know those cars driving upside down are two people taking the mick trying to like glitch the gate. Do you know what I mean? So I think they need to get that balance right. I think that's what each three of those films do really well.
Yeah, I heard the best thing about Free Guy the other day. Someone said, I can't remember who it was, but they basically came up and were like, oh, Free Guy, the games industry doesn't actually work like that. And I'm like, well, no, like...
if it was how the games industry actually worked, though, then you wouldn't have half that movie. Like there wouldn't be any because like they absolutely would not close down the servers of like this lucrative multiplayer to replace it with a sequel. But if they're just like, oh well, there's no dramatic tension, it's fine.
Oh yeah, is there So, is there anything else you guys like to add for today's?
There was just one thing, just a bit of news that I saw. The revenues are up by 6% to 3.74 billion in Xbox's best non-holiday quarter to date. So
Nice.
Xbox are doing good. Sorry, when we're doing the podcast, I have Twitter up on the sides, just bringing up. Oh, and the Stanley Parable has a new game. Well, not a new game, like a deluxe edition come out.
Yeah, I did see that.
Yeah, it come out today. So I'm.
Is that today? Is it?
Yeah. So I'm going to be playing that and thing for the next few days because the Stanley Parable. If none of you have played it, play it. It's so funny. It's so fourth wall breaking and just it's hilarious. It's
That's one
so
of those
good.
ones where I've seen but I've not played, and it's kind of like, so
Yeah.
is it worth the shot in your opinion? Then
100%. It's really good just experience. I played bits of the old game, and I've mostly watched people play the old game because with the big personalities playing it, it's really funny. But yeah, I definitely say play that game. I've always wanted to play it through properly, and I think now that it's been like re-released, I think it's on consoles as well. This edition, maybe.
probably sounds right.
So yeah, everyone play the Stanley Parable. If you have PC, play Prehistoric Kingdom now. Now, what are you doing? Go play it. They have woolly mammoths.
I'll have the football on one screen and then the prehistoric on the other.
I gotta go to bed now.
For our audio listeners, Dale is starting to tear up at mention of woolly mammoths.
It's so cool. Like, I've always loved dinosaurs, and now like it's giving me a new interest. Like, what?
We'll be experts next week. Don't worry,
we will. Let me tell you all about the Smilodon next week.
Is there anything else before we go off on dinosaur tangents?
We got an outro tangent just to end the show on a tangent.
I don't think there's everything else is like there's always rumors and myths and potential things flying around. Like there's been a lot of stuff, like with the game preservation thing that was confirmed by an employee's profile on LinkedIn or something, wasn't it? And I think
he got a job with them. And then got told to take it down.
The same thing has been confirmed through like a QA tester at Naughty Dog, who's listed one of the things that they're working on, an unannounced remake project, which is pretty much confirmed that The Last of Us is being remade.
Wait, it was though, and now this is.
No,
what?
That's a remaster. No, the full next gen, a full remake is supposedly in the works.
Milk games for money, don't they? Damn, man.
Capitalism.
Yeah, what are we gonna get next? A remaster of the remake, or?
Well, this just says you have to play the remaster faster, just so that you before the remake comes out.
I don't think I can keep up. Not gonna lie. I can't shoot things in third person. It hurts. It hurts my brain, man. People do it. Oh. Anyway, sorry, that's another tangent.
Tangent
centrals.
That was my point. Was just like everything else that I've seen is like rumors.
Yeah.
Things like that.
There's a rumor about Game Boy coming to
Nintendo
Game Pass. But none of the only Pokemon games on there are like Pokemon Pinball and like a puzzle game, and it's just like, why don't you just let us play the old Pokemon games? Just give me Emerald again. That's all I want, man.
They've probably got to be like the worst for emulators as well.
Mm-hmm.
They got to be up there. So
I mean, they take down mods and emulators constantly, don't they? They don't like it, so why don't you just give us the option to play it?
Well, if Sony have just got a game preservation team, maybe Nintendo have set up their game destruction team. You can't have it anymore.
They're all scorched there, smoking cigars, wearing sunglasses and things. Just we found them. We got another one.
Another one bites the
dust. I was going to say something else. Then it's completely. Oh, that was it. I just remembered the Playdate thing is out soon as well, isn't it? The wind up game mini retro Game Boy.
Oh yeah.
That's probably a poor description of it, but that's how I think
expensive, right? It's very expensive.
Yeah, very, very. It's definitely one of those things. I think the primary initial market. Apologies to anyone who doesn't fit this category, but it looks to me like it's one of those things that's entirely marketed to hipsters.
Lloyd?
Yeah, I knew it was coming.
Lloyd?
Knew it was coming. Right. Okay.
Shit, I'm mowing.
I'm not interested. Oh, right. Okay. Is that it?
Yeah, that's all.
Yeah,
it
we
is,
just
yeah.
end on that
I
like
don't know.
really offbeat insult.
I'm just gonna right. Okay, so yeah, I'm gonna cry. That's it for this week's episode. Don't forget that you can find every episode of the podcast on your favorite podcasting service or on our YouTube channel. Where you can also find additional content like reviews.
Oh,
Oh.
just
Just
the
this
fact that you cried in the outro because I called you a hipster.
What do you mean, man? I'm cool, man. Right, okay, I'll start that again. Right, that is officially it for this week's episode. Dale is a meanie. Don't forget that you can find every episode of the podcast on your favorite podcasting service or on our YouTube channel, where you can also find additional content like reviews, previews, commentary, and more. You can check the links in the description for all this to find us on social media and to join our Discord server. We are everywhere and you should join us and bully Dale because he's horrible to me now. And thanks very much for listening and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye, I guess, from the Bully Dale. Way.